Hello, YouTubers, friends, compatriots, bootlickers, shills, nuts, slicers, peasants, vassals, minions, meat sacks, smart bombs. I'm Useful Idiot. Welcome. And today I want to talk about this Obama administration going forward with the plan to spend $1 to $3 trillion over the next 30 years on smaller battlefield nukes, as they are calling them. These are also known as tactical nuclear weapons. And purportedly, the U.S. has about 400 in stock right now, but wants to expand the capabilities and expand the arsenal. They want to introduce more precision and use them with stealth aircraft. So the first purpose for this is it aims to design and build a class of small in size and yield bombs in the 5 to 10 kiloton range. Secondly, they're designed as precision-guided munitions to be used with standard combat aircraft, and I would assume that they could also conceivably include drones at some point. Three, they're for use against hardened targets. So, of course, immediately one thinks about Iran and then other players in the world who have hard targets that the United States would be interested in penetrating. This would also include North Korea, I would assume. And number four, it's a good example of a first strike weapon, and this is part of the new military policy of the United States with preemptive war and first strikes, and this will include tactical nuclear weapons in the future, it seems. These first strike weapons are not designed as deterrents. That's important. The big nuclear bombs have been used as a deterrent and a political tool since the Cold War, and continues to be used as such. But these weapons are designed for first strike. They're weapons they're used to accomplish a mission. And the beauty of them is that you can build them and they sit there too. So this is a great aspect of this. It's a big money pit. So just as usual, whether it's a Republican in office or a Republican in office, military industrial complex marches on, and they love this kind of weaponry because, as I say, you build it and it sits there. It doesn't get used, and then every once in a while they can upgrade it like this and spend another $1 to $3 trillion. And so what a money maker. And the other thing about these tactical nuclear weapons is it includes neutron bombs, which of course we know destroy people and save the infrastructure, and so those will be used as tactical nuclear weapons. They also have variable yield, so you can actually adjust how much blast you want to have. And then the history of this is kind of peculiar, though, because as of 2010, most of the stockpiles in the world have been reduced. In fact, the smallest types of tactical nuclear weapons have been eliminated completely. So the United States apparently is going to reverse this trend, and also that ties in with the military-industrial complex too. So we spent the last 6 years basically destroying a whole bunch of weapons, and now we're going to build some more. And this whole thing with tactical nukes and this whole concept of nuclear weapons is an interesting one, and one begs the question, why do we need these kind of weapons? They don't fulfill any real purpose right now. We have the weaponry to take care of the U.S. and the globe has the weaponry to take care of the necessary jobs that need to be done. So it smells like a boondoggle. Particularly when you look back through history, there has been this temptation to use these nuclear weapons for small foreign policy gains, and I think the temptation to use tactical nuclear weapons will get greater. I think the temptation is far greater because the damage that can be done is more limited, and so there's this concept that nuclear weapons can now be used in the battlefield. And in fact, there was discussion of this in the possibility of attack in Iran, both the United States and Israel using tactical nuclear weapons in a potential strike on Iran. But there's a history of this. Pakistan has developed a lot of tactical nuclear weapons to counterbalance the nuclear threat that India poses to them. And we also have this whole concept of mutual assured destruction, which has kept the use of nuclear weapons since off the table since the bombing of Japan in World War II. But we have other instances where it's been considered. Nixon considered using the bomb on North Vietnam, or at least Kissinger suggested it, and it was used as a potential threat. Israel also considered using nuclear weapons during the 1973 war against its Arab neighbors. And then we found out last year there was a plan, a U.S. plan to potentially nuke Eastern Europe in order to facilitate a withdrawal of the Soviet Union from that region. And then, of course, we have North Korea threatening all the time to use nuclear weapons, and it becomes part of our daily breakfast routine. And then one of the more peculiar ones is the Samson option, which Israel has, which means that if for some reason they were attacked and Israel was about to lose the war and capitulate, they have a plan where they would essentially nuke everyone around them and essentially take the whole world down with them. But that's such a crazy idea that I'm probably going to do a whole video on that at another time. But these tactical nuclear weapons are easy to rationalize as well, because they are a lot smaller, and they include artillery shells and landmines, depth charges, and missiles. And like I say, a lot of countries have already eliminated a lot of these smaller weapons entirely, but the U.S. will keep them on hand. And one of my favorite parts about this whole story, of course, is the fact that in 2009, President Obama gave a speech in Czechoslovakia, and he went on at length, as a matter of fact, about a, quote, a world without nuclear weapons, unquote. And part of the reasons why he apparently won the Nobel Peace Prize was because of this promise to rid the world of nuclear weapons. And so good job, Obama. There's another fucking promise that you broke, you asshole. And this one's a humdinger, a world without nuclear weapons. And now, actually, it's going to be a lot easier to use them than ever before, thanks to the Obama administration. But I shouldn't have blamed the Obama administration, because this is what the deep state wants and the military-industrial complex wants. And he is merely facilitating their agenda. So it could have been anybody. And last but not least, I want to go into a little bit of some of the nuclear weaponry that's being developed. And a lot of this money and this expansion, I'm sure, will include these, what are called fourth generation nuclear weapons. And this is where it gets pretty scary, because the development of a nuclear fusion weapon that doesn't use a fission trigger. And so that's essentially what these fourth generation nuclear weapons are. They are clean. They are what they call clean. There's no fallout. They're kind of akin to the depleted uranium rounds that are used around the world now, with a lot of small weaponry in these war zones. They're very small. They can actually go down to pocket size. And before anybody freaks out about the fact that they're going to go down to pocket size, the technology that's needed to develop these new fourth generation nuclear weapons is so advanced and so complex that these would be very difficult for anyone to duplicate anywhere in the world, except for in modern industrial societies. And they fill in a yield gap. That's one of the things that the military likes. It's something in between tactical nukes as we know them, with very, very low yields, and then the huge megaton bombs that we still have in our arsenal. And they use antimatter, a very small amount of antimatter, microscopic antimatter, instead of this fission trigger. And so that's one of the things that makes it very difficult to manufacture, and we'll continue to make these quite rare. But so there you have it, a little look at these new fourth generation nuclear weapons, this expansion of tactical nuclear weapons, and the continued advancement of the idea that at some point we can use small nuclear bombs all over battlefields all over the world, and also to do preemptive first strikes against perceived enemies. You be the judge of whether you think that's a wise policy. I'm a useful idiot. Don't you be one too.